Lyburn hasn't practiced yet, has he?
Welcome to Portage La Prairie, Manitoba for Shaw TV's live coverage of the 2017 Classic. This event is part of the World Curling Tour, proudly sponsored by Canad. I'm your host, Blair Malstravich, and we're getting ready for the matchup between Team Lyburn and Team Johnston. You can follow our conversation on Facebook on Shaw TV Winnipeg, or follow us on Twitter at Shaw TV Winnipeg, hashtag #CurlingOnShaw. There'll be action coming our way, but let's give it away to Maureen Bonner and Resby Coots.
The Canadians Classic, Maureen, one of the great events on the tour. This year, 3 of the 14 pre-trials teams, but 6 of the 7 trials teams are in it. What does that tell you about their state of preparation?
Well, being 6 weeks out for the trials, those teams that are preparing for that will be succinct in what they're going in and very specific on what their strategies will be going into that. The 3 weeks out of the pre-trials, they're going to have to take it a little bit more careful because you don't want to overdo it.
This year at the Canadians, also half a dozen international teams.
Yeah, there's 5 teams from international. I think that is really bodes well for this bonspiel and also helps our other Canadian teams see what's out there.
Now, William Lyburn wouldn't want me to say he's one of the old guys, but he's becoming one of the veterans in Manitoba curling. Lyburn playing a young team, Dylan Johnston.
Yes, I think this is a matchup, a really interesting matchup. William has been around the scenes for a while. He's got the experience. This young team from Northern Ontario is breaking through, and I hope to see really good things from this team.
It should be a great game. Well, welcome to the TV sheet at the Portage Curling Club, sheet number 5 in the Canadians Classic. Resby Coots with Maureen Bonner, and the Johnston team from Northern Ontario completes their practice shots. And Maureen, it's got great potential to be a really interesting game today between, as we said in that introduction, now a veteran Manitoba skip and a young team trying to make a mark.
Yeah, for sure. Dylan Johnston's team has some experience at the Canadian junior level. They lost in the final of the 2009 Canadian Juniors, and I think that is an opportunity for them to build on their experience and bring it to this stage. I like this team, this Johnston team. They haven't played a lot this year yet, but they are, forming, and they will give William Lyburn a run for the money.
We had the opportunity to chat just for a minute with them down at ice level on the way up to our broadcast location, and one of the things they talked about is the fact that in their part of the world, as in much of Western Canada, there really isn't even curling ice in a lot of locations. That's got to be a challenge for a team like this, playing against teams that are traveling a lot and playing for a month and a half already.
For sure, and I think, they understand that. They made that point when we were talking to them, but they also are young, they're vibrant, and they have that no fear attitude.
And one of the challenges they indicated, this is really just the second time this has been a complete team together.
For sure, and they're always building on those types of things, and they're going to have some rough bumps along the way, but this is what it's all about. This is what gets these teams going and pushes them, forward to compete with the Jacobs and the Howards and the Cooeys and the Lyburns.
Yeah. This Johnston team, 3 of them played together as juniors. They were, in fact, if I'm correct, the Canadian Junior finalist back in 2009. So they're a few years into the competitive men's career. Do you remember back to the time when you were, you'd had a very successful junior career and got into the women's, and you had to go through a learning period?
That's the interesting part, is that sometimes, when I was curling, broke out into the women's, I had a really good mentor, Patty Withrich, and learned a lot from her. Sometimes you don't see that as much anymore. You see teams that go from junior right into the men's and women's competition, and it's doable now because they have such high competition, high level of competition, and lots of competition.
What is playing in a bonspiel like this with, a young team? I'm sure they're not in awe anymore of a Kevin Cooey, a Mike McEwen, a Reed Carruthers, a Glenn Howard, particularly the veteran of Ontario, of Canadian curling. But there's still got to be a little bit of, wow, I'm out here with guys I've been watching on TV.
You still get those butterflies playing those big name teams, and it is still a little bit of an awe because these teams are competing at such a high level, and you're trying to make your mark, and you want to prove yourself.
Now, we've watched through the Johnston team practice stones. William Lyburn, a team. William's been, moved here from Scotland. Let's just say a few years ago, and has gone through different iterations of his team and so on. But he genuinely is one of the teams that has a chance to compete at the pre-trials level, and I think William's realistic enough to know that's all at this stage. That's what he wants, a chance to compete, because it might just be the weekend that works.
That's exactly it, and you have to have that belief. Whatever team you are, you have to have that belief. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. And there's that competitiveness with William Lyburn, and he has that belly fire that just he wants to be in it.
As we look across at the other games that are going to go on the ice out here, we've got a World Junior champion, Braden Calvert, who has put back together his World Junior champion team, and he impresses so much. He's playing a team from Japan. He won't be the least bit intimidated playing a team from offshore.
He's likely competed against offshore teams more than anyone out here with his junior experience, so that will bode well. I think he's just such a solid team, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they compete against the Japanese team.
And the Japanese team, Yusuke Morizumi, near the top 20, in the top 25 on the World Curling Tour list. So that tells you these guys, tells you two things. One is they probably play in Canada a lot,
yes,
but it also tells you they can play.
For sure. And a lot of you see a lot of the Japanese and Korean teams, that's all they do. They are focused on competing and representing their country, and they spend a good 8 to 10 weeks over in Canada competing, and they get here early in the season and practicing, and they love it over here competing.
And then over on sheet 3 here at the Portage Curling Club in the Canadians Classic, a team from Korea, Soo-Hyuk Kim playing John Schuster, a now veteran team out of the United States. Schuster's a guy who's been to the Olympics, who's been to the World Championships, an international game that is the kind of game that makes this bonspiel special.
Oh, for sure. Anytime that you can get teams to come in from other countries, I think it opens up the door to just showcase what we can do and what's out there in the curling realm. So it's fantastic to see these teams coming back here year after year after year.
And then over on sheet 2, we mentioned in our earlier comments the veteran Glenn Howard. Glenn has got his team out practicing, loosening up. Glenn, I've talked to him over the years. He dearly loves this bonspiel. He just enjoys the whole setting. And you'd mentioned earlier to me, Maureen, that it partly is because of this setting.
Oh, for sure. It's when you come to this setting, it's like being in a mini championship, provincial or national, whatever, because everybody stays at the hotel here. The venue's attached to the hotel. It's just a special atmosphere.
So we come back to our sheet of ice, the Lyburn team taking to the ice. We saw, I fear, Maureen, that I slipped back into my radio roots and forgot that from time to time you really should talk about what's going on the TV screen. And we wandered across sheets 3 and 4 and 2 to talk about those teams. And while we were doing that, I did note that the draw to the button for last stone opportunity was made by the Johnston team, and I believe they didn't get full button, but they got a good bite of the button.
Yeah.
That whole process, do you like that as a process for determining who throws last?
Well, it's been in existence for about 4 or 5 years now, and it after you've thrown so many rocks throughout the Bonspiel, personally, I don't want to throw another rock. I just want to keep all the good ones that I have in my repertoire. But it is the fairest way, I think, and it can be a positive experience for your team, especially if someone, it doesn't always have to be the skip that throws it, but a lot of the time it is. But it is a chance to really see what the ice is doing. I think sometimes the practice ice gets bombarded with draws, right? And that's the only thing, is that sometimes you see the ice being broken down only on one side because that team wants to throw the out turn or that team's throwing the in turn. So that kind of messes with the ice a little bit, and you have to look at that the first stand going out. But I think everybody's just accepted it now as it is what it is.
You mentioned that often it's the skip. Most often it's the skip, I would suggest, in a Bonspiel of this nature. But at the national or the international level, in fact, there are rules specifying that each player has to participate in that process throughout the course of the competition.
Yeah, for sure. And they also identify which turns you have to throw. Out of those players that throw, 2 players throw. One has to throw the out turn and one throws the in turn. And I think they've changed that last year. They both throw the same turn now.
There are those who would suggest, and probably my team would be one of them, that if we could just rely on luck of the draw, we're going to have last rock half the time. And doing it this way, there's every chance we're not going to have it very often.
Sure. Just looking at the ice too, Resby, talking with the ice maker, it is moving about 5 feet in from the mid 12 foot, middle of the 12 foot, outside in. And inside out, it is moving again about 2.5 feet. Hog to hog time is 14 seconds, and hog to stop, right to the button, is running at 23 seconds.
It's the kind of conditions that these teams just like to play on.
Yeah, this ice is phenomenal. I don't think you'll get any complaints. It's pretty consistent, and that's what you want when you're playing in a spiel. You want consistent ice. You want to be able to read it and have good throws and really keen, nice sliding surface. And
it's perhaps one of the things that has changed the most in curling. I mean, and frankly, there's been a lot of dramatic change in the sport. But one of the things that's really changed in curling clubs is the ability, through training, through experience, through technology, for the good ice makers to create what we used to call arena ice conditions, and probably now should call championship ice conditions, because they can do the same things here in the Portage Curling Club that they emulate in arenas.
For sure they can, and it might take a little bit more effort of the ice makers, but there's so much education out there, and Hans Withrich is at the helm of that, and Shorty Jenkins, bless his heart. They just set that whole itinerary of ice making on its head. We've got so many good ice makers across Canada.
So while we watched the Lyburn team go through the coming home half of their practice ritual, we chatted a little bit about the Johnston team. This is an older team, a more experienced team perhaps, but when you look at the guys on the back end, William Lyburn and Richard Deneau, both of them have been to the Brier. William as the fifth man, Richard with Kerry Burtnick.
Yeah, Kerry Burtnick played second for Kerry.
So you've got experience there. Jared Colomea playing second was, I think people would have said 2-3 years ago, one of the rising stars as a skip in Manitoba curling. Showed very well, and but took advantage of the opportunity to play second. He's a guy who's built like a second, in my opinion.
For sure he is. And yeah, he's had much success on the Manitoba Curling Tour in his own right as a skip. But nice combination on this team coming together.
And the lead on the team is Jim Coleman. Jim is actually listed as the fifth on the squad for Team Lima purposes, but Braden Zawada has played throughout the weekend, had to be away today for, I believe, a baptism. And so Jim gets his opportunity, and I'm sure that Jim himself, probably in the same time frame as the Johnston team, a pretty high level kind of a junior curler.
Yeah, for sure. He's come through the junior ranks and he's played lots too. So I don't think he'll be any intimidated by the play here. He's keen on playing this game as well. And
a neat opportunity though to get into a game in a game that truly matters, because the winner of this game advances to a Seaside qualifying game, and they play another one of the international teams. The winner now, I'm saying, of the Lyburn Johnston team advances to a game this evening, and they'll play the team skipped by Changmin Kim, who I believe is somewhere in the range of 18, certainly in the top 20 on the World Curling Tour list. So again, an international team probably playing a lot in Canada and showing they can play.
for sure. It's there's 3 or 4, I think you had looked at the draw for the qualifiers on the Seaside that have the international teams are vying for a spot. So we'll see what happens in this draw. This will be an interesting draw to see what comes out of it.
The one thing that I'd say before we just take a quick break, Maureen, is that the Calvert Morizumi game, the winner of that will advance against Colton Flash in a Seaside qualifier event game, and then the winner of the Schuster Suyuk Kim game advances against John Epping, another team that's already in the Canadian curling trials. We're watching William Lyburn and his team throw their final practice stones. They'll do their draw to the button, and we'll just take a quick break.
This is art. This is art. This is Winnipeg. This is Winnipeg Art. We want to see your creation. To get your work onto Winnipeg Art, email us at createtv@shaw.ca.
Tavern United, a new world sports pub. With a wide selection of sporting events televised at our 8 locations in Manitoba. Tavern United, your destination for great sports all the time.
Oh, who's this? Oh, it's Chloe. Chloe has an idea she wants to share with the world. She picks up her camera, she shoots her video,
Hey, where do frogs keep their money? At the riverbank.
and finally she edits her masterpiece. Chloe then sends her video to Shaw TV, where it can be aired on community producers. It's just that easy. If you want to be like Chloe, email us at createtv@shaw.ca. Community producers, every fortnight on Shaw TV.
Back on sheet 5 at the Portage Curling Club as William Lyburn prepares to throw his draw to the button to determine who will throw last rock in this Dylan Johnson-William Lyburn game. Remember that Johnston bit the button. For sake of quick comparison, let's say he got about a half a rock onto the button. So William has got to be almost full button to beat that. An interesting challenge to start the game, get the blood pumping a little bit, Maureen.
Yeah, he needs to cover the pinhole on the button, and then he would have the last rock advantage on the first end. They're working it really hard here. I think they've left it a little bit short.
So 8 foot compared with the button draw of the Johnston team. The teams go through the traditional formality, and still one of the absolute great things about the sport of curling, that pregame handshake. And you know, they're just about to take on for 2 hours the challenge of beating each other up, but for the moment, great fraternity, and it is the great thing about our sport, Marie.
It truly is. You know, it's still a gentle person's sport, and there's so many nuances about the game that make it so special in that regard.
So let's do a look at the team lineup for Team Lyburn. The lead on the team is he's already lost his train of thought. Jim Coleman is the lead on the team for the Lyburn team. As we mentioned earlier, Lyburn subbing in for Braden Zawada, who's away today. Playing second is Jared Kolomaya, formerly a pretty high-level Manitoba skip, played second with Lyburn for the last year or two. Richard Deneau, a veteran now with Brier experience, he plays third for the Lyburn team, and William Lyburn is the skip of the Manitoba team in this matchup.
And Team Johnston is skipped by Dylan Johnston. Third is Mike Baduke. Second is Cody Johnston, and lead is Travis Shewalter.
The interesting thing about this team, we mentioned the 2009 Canadian Junior finalist, and the top three on that list, Dylan Johnston, Mike Baduke, and Cody Johnston, were all on that team. So a team that has played together a long time have brought in a new skip, or a new lead.
Right, and they play out of the Fort William Curling Club, Thunder Bay.
They'll be pretty cautious in the opening shots of this game. William goes right into the rings, and Johnson likes to play a hit, and this doesn't surprise you, Marie.
No, and you know, the Johnston team could put up the corner. They could play it that way, but I think they're just going to get the jitters out here and keep it clean. Typical William putting it in the house and saying, okay, if you want to take a chance, put your corner guards up and go for it. But I think they're going to just, like you said, play it safe.
Johnson does have last rock in the end, one with the draw to the button as opposed to the Lyburn draw to the 8-foot circle on the draws for hammer. So the Johnson hit rolls over to the side, and William hits.
I was looking at the line scores throughout some of the games, and there's been some very tight games, lots of extra ends. I know Kevin Cooey's actually had 2 back-to-back extra ends, so this is going to be, I think, going into these semis to get into a qualifier. I think we're going to see some great shots being made, and really cautious, but some real great strategies. And lots of rocks in play on some of these sheets too. I just look at over sheet 2, they've got 3 rocks already in play, and I think they've only thrown 6 rocks. So interesting how everybody's approaching a little differently across the sheets.
Jim Coleman's hit and rolled away. Maybe just an indication, Maureen, that he's got to adjust to the ice, get used to it. Happy to make the hit. He won't be happy that he rolled out, but there's an adjustment period for a guy coming into the game for the first time.
For sure, and that's where you really rely on your teammates to tell you a little bit about the ice, and while you're getting ready in the hack to inform you of, that's a straight spot in the ice, or just throw it straight up here, it runs really good. That kind of communication is really key when you're coming in cold turkey.
So Travis Showalter draws the outside 12-foot, and Jared Colomea's first shot of the game is an out-turn hit.
They're not overthrowing these takeouts. It's really nice takeout weight that they're throwing. So to me, it looks like once you up your weight a little bit, it hangs fairly straight on the outsides of the sheets. It's when you get, I think hog line is when you're going to see some of the curl, especially if the weight is down. Interesting comparison here, folks. The Lyburn hit in this position was an out-turn hit. The Johnson hit in the same position as an in-turn hit. I love the fact watching these junior teams come in to these spills and seeing their deliveries. They're just so smooth, and they've really practiced a lot their techniques.
Over curls, rubs the Lyburn stone across into the 4-foot, and the first opportunity of the game goes to the Lyburn.
Well, William will jump all over this and put his tight guard up front to cover that stone, just biting the top 4-foot. Few tuckers on the William Lyburn team. Jared Colomea is a tuck delivery. I like the fact too now, Resby, that they're promoting in instruction with junior curlers. They're promoting the tuck delivery as well as the flat foot delivery. The approach is not to change what is comfortable for the curler. And I like that approach. I think it works, especially if that's the way your body wants to come out of the hack, and that's what you can do. I think we need to work with it.
Traditionally, I think we said that the tuck, to a fair extent, was a body type delivery, depending on, but body type isn't the same anymore with these what are now clearly athletes, compared with a few years ago when it wasn't quite the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he just rubs on that guard.
Now that's a pair, the in-turn going to the corner, the out-turn coming to the inside, both over curled a bit, Maureen. Just a little tentative in weight, or what do you think?
I think just maybe being a little cautious and not just maybe throwing it as crisp as they can. Just need to maybe get a little bit more broom out there for the players until they can see a clean shot. But you know what? Not a bad miss. It's better to do that than to be wide on the high side and miss everything. So cautious play and just getting their comfort zone set up.
Richard Deneau's first shot, a guard not quite as deep as the previous one, and even a better cover on. There's a little bit of the shot stone in the forfeit circle showing, but not very much of it.
Dylan asking for the stone to be peeled off.
Perfect angle. He can actually take the one out of the forefoot as well and roll it off to the corner. Nose hit, straight run, makes it look pretty good, didn't it, Maureen?
That was a great shot.
But he does leave a guard, and Richard, now having thrown a draw with his first rock, opportunity continues. Let's look at a replay of that double.
So he just wanted to go across the face of this high stone, Resby, so he can push it back on the one that was in the forefoot and make the double. He didn't. He left a guard up there, but it's off center line, so the button is still open. If there's a good news story in that guard.
Richard Deneau's second shot of this opening end. Out-turn draw. I'd like to be over the top of the forefoot circle.
This is where you'll see it start to really bend, cog line in. And this is similar to arena ice. You get that action right from the hog line in. Curls like over 3.5 feet.
Might have liked it another inch or two deeper, Maureen, but I think you'd give him full marks for that draw.
Oh, I like that shot. Just almost biting the forefoot at the top of the forefoot. Great shot.
You can see Glenn Howard in a lot of deliveries of young people from Ontario.
For sure. That's interesting that you say that, because that's a similar analysis in Manitoba. You see a lot of Tuckers in homage to the Kerry Burtnicks and the Jeff Stoutons and Mike McEwen. So there's lots of Tuckers in Manitoba.
A replay again on the run back kill.
So this is straight throw back, straight back, and he just stuffs it right straight back. So it's behind the cover. It's a great shot.
I think those two shots from Mike Baduch tell us a little bit about the Johnston team and the way they're going to play this game.
I think so. We've got a good matchup at thirds. So far, Mike Baduch is showing his skill set. Definitely a strong hitter.
William Lyburn throws his first stone of this opening end of the game with Dylan Johnston. Run back.
Just got it high side and pushed it out in the open. It's out away from the guard, so won't be unhappy about that, but I think he was looking for the double.
Just that's one of those shots that a half an inch makes all the difference, doesn't it? The amount of curl.
Or like edges?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, this gives an opportunity now for the Johnston team to lay two
Like wide open?
and set up for their deuce.
Roll off that. What do you like here?
I kind of like even.
Like open, probably, hey?
Why?
Well, just so he doesn't freeze.
If we're even right buried, what does he do?
Well, it's just if you're here and he makes a good roll, it's another guard. Whereas if you're like here and he makes the roll, you could use it. You like that? Okay. Top
Make
post.
sure it's above that one.
Right, exactly, yeah. The guard's long enough if you ever bury it and he hits it, you can tap him.
85?
So want to leave him something to freeze to, right?
Yep.
How's that ice look?
I like it.
Okay, top house.
That's well thought through, Maureen.
Yeah, they talked about all the scenarios and you know, talking about what they're going to leave William Lyburn with his last stone and the possibility
85, 90.
of leaving him a double or actually a hit and roll. So he wants this just tucked around the guard and full 8 foot. I like the fact too that they
Hair
talked
light
about,
right now.
Need to go. Go
before he
ahead.
left, what he was throwing.
Sweeper top 12.
Okay, weight's close.
Top 8. You got lots of room.
Just top 8.
Mine's fine.
Doesn't need to curl. Does not need to curl.
Top 8.
Okay, top 4.
Top 8.
Top
Which
8.
one? Well then, higher's better. Higher's better. Line's
Just
good.
fighting.
Higher's better.
Top 12, top 12, top 12.
Off. Ah, over curled. Okay.
That finished harder than I think he
Sorry, man,
anticipated.
just
He wanted
overcrowing
to
you.
just stick it out a little bit.
He did, as he said, he wanted it sticking out a little bit in case
gotta
William
make pretty
gets
good
that roll.
They had to wait on it. They thought it was a little bit heavy. They didn't want it full 8, just
Grab
top
one rock
8.
for the over. I think it's really good, isn't it?
Just
Or half a
finished
rock
on
either.
him.
If they're throwing control and it does anything like mine, it's going to curl a lot.
By curling that little extra bit, they now, if William is able to make
got a
this
split
hit and
time.
roll, they don't have the tap back that
Hog
they
on.
talked about leaving by leaving that stone out in the open.
Yeah. Now it's going to make it a little bit difficult if William gets the perfect roll here.
You gotta go
This is curling hard.
Stay on it for peace. Hard. Got it. Go.
Doesn't get the kill, it leaves it biting the back 12 foot.
A little
And the
soft, yeah.
Johnston team has a draw, follow the lash, as we heard him say, just a little soft.
Mm-hmm. And we saw that earlier in the end where it started to move again quick with down weight by the hog line. So unfortunately for William, he didn't get that biter out of the rings. So this is a chance for Dylan Johnston's team to draw for 3. Kind of an unexpected 3 for sure, Resby.
It didn't look at all throughout this end. And in fact, most of the the opportunities were with the Lyburn team.
Keep it broom down. Keep it broom down.
Yeah, T.
T back 4.
Can't hurt it, I don't
Top 4.
No, we're all there.
Line's good.
Top 4.
You're
Bumping
into
it.
this one.
Bumping it.
Yeah, we're just top 4.
Yeah, you're hitting this, so you're fine.
Yeah. Shot, Phil.
Good judge, guys.
Good in, boys.
Great start.
Talk about these 10s. So 10's curling a lot.
Nice shooting, man.
So
Right?
Dylan
10's
Johnson
curling a lot.
makes the draw.
His
He
last
scores
goal
a
was
3.
9-9.
And we're going to go now to Blair Malistravich, who had the opportunity to talk with Dylan Johnston.
I'm here with Team Johnston's skip, Dylan Johnston. What exactly is in your head where you're going into this matchup?
We've been playing pretty good so far this weekend. A couple of tough losses to some of the top teams, going down to last rock. So thinking if we play our game, make some good shots, have a good game.
Now, what have you found have been some of your struggles this year?
We haven't played much. Some of us have barely been on the ice so far. There's not much ice in Thunder Bay yet. It's only our second time playing together as a team, so we're just here to get back together, get things rolling.
Now, how long do you think that takes normally for a process to get the team thinking on the same wavelength?
We're pretty much there now. We've played together for many years, so it's just about getting together. Yeah.
Nice. So what's your hope for this weekend?
Our goal now is to qualify, but we got to win this game first and hopefully get to play another game.
Great. Thank you so much. You're watching the 2017 Canadians Men's Classic here on Shaw TV.
Well, after the surprising 3, and I don't mind calling it a surprising 3, Maureen, by the Johnston team, in that opening end, a standard opening to our second end. Johnston went to the center of the rings in the 8-foot. William Lyburn put up a long corner guard.
Yeah, now it's William that has to take a bit of a chance. These are 8-end games, so you have to go after. If you give up a 3-ender, if you're going to give it up, first end's the one you want to give it up in, and now you've got some time to come back. So William's going to take some chances, put some corner guards up, and get some rocks in play. He needs to get his 2 back. You don't want to go too hard, but you want to look to set up for that 2.
Wait's great.
And I think
make sure we get the line.
That's just
Wait's
sometimes
perfect.
that's the way it goes. You just underthrow on that first end, anticipating that maybe it's not as true yet. The ice is a little bit a little sticky, so he's going to ignore those 2 stones. He's got to get a rock in play and start putting some aggressive calls in here.
William will be a little irritated with himself over that last shot of the first end, but overall he'd be happy with the way the end went.
Oh, for sure. He'll be the first to say I underthrew that takeout, and I should have thrown a little bit crisper. The old adage is skip the rock first, rolls a bonus, and I think it'll just sharpen William up a little bit here. And
Jim Coleman's draw cut a little bit more at the end than they probably wanted, but 2 Johnson stones center of the rings, long guard, and a Jim Coleman rock on the edge of the 8-foot is the start to the end that William would have wanted.
For sure. Getting the Johnston team to chase that corner guard, and then William can look at either putting up another guard or looking at tap-backs using the rocks that are in play. More rocks in play, whether they're blue or yellow, are a bonus for William at this point.
Good scrub.
Guards removed by Johnston, and
throw the little for your head.
replacing.
It's really important with the curl on this ice to know exactly where your skip wants that guard, because if the first rock that Jim threw, it over curled behind the corner guard. So you really have to know what the ice that you're giving and where you want that rock to stop. Sorry, that wasn't Jim throwing. It's now Jared. Sorry.
Guard's a little closer to the rings than William would have wanted, but it's still a rock that Johnson will remove from play.
It's okay.
We'll have to see what turn he chooses here to peel this.
Come this
easier.
Intern, yeah. Chase, just off nose.
To be a little cautious when you play the intern
center, right?
outside in shot on a peel.
Okay, quick.
Can you see that fine?
Yep.
Second Cody Johnston.
Big.
Close. Yep. Hard.
Stay with the shooter.
Big roll shot.
Stay with the shooter. Whoa.
Knuckle drop. Yep, roll over. Get over. Yep.
That's fine.
Good.
And playing that intern over the top of that guard stone made it go higher across the 12-foot and not touch the 2 rocks that
Expected it would.
Dylan Johnson has set up there covering the 4-foot.
No, but I curl like
Now William moves to the center of the rings to move things around a little bit.
Well, if he can make a double here, Resby, he'll be lane 2, and that's what his goal is this end, is to sit 2 and work towards getting a deuce.
That's good.
Good. It turned out really well, actually.
Nice.
Sitting over there for third shot.
Yeah, I agree.
It's rolling in bad.
Johnston Stone.
No, 2, never mind.
Are we third right now?
No.
Really nice weight thrown on that.
I doubt it.
Maybe
So we
I
wanna-
presumed it was shot a little bit. Indication
roll
from
in.
Dylan Johnson is that the
Rolling in's not bad, is it?
beating that blue one over
Well,
there.
they make the double to line 2. This will be even.
Right.
Makes it a little easier.
Well, we
yeah.
gotta stick around.
10.
Yeah, I'll get.
Okay, she curl lots here.
Okay.
Well, and
Nice
William
defense.
will use every rock in play for his benefit. So that's just one example of utilizing the rocks in play of the opponents to your advantage.
Solid 10. Yeah, 10.
Just
So
clean.
now the
10
Johnson
up.
team just
10.
wants to
No.
trade shots over here. They need to stay in the ring, so don't they?
Yeah.
Up.
Want to eliminate the yellow
Just clean.
stones. I don't think he wants to stick there because it'll give another opportunity for hitting a roll over. So William just wants to get these rocks closer together so that he can have the opportunity to possibly set up his two with his deuce separated on the sheet.
Richard Deneau's first rock of this second end.
Control. Good way.
Similar side of the Johnson Stone. Roll to the right. Got a little roll, but not what he wanted.
No, not what he wanted. He wanted to get less
Yeah,
separation
maybe a
between
little
those
hot.
two stones. Blue stone
Good
to
way.
the right, just biting the
No,
8 foot.
Yeah, Johnson's perfect stone is to
Sam?
hit and roll
You're
the
9-5
other way
last
and
time.
be in the
Yeah, I'll give you
8 foot
a
side
10.
with a complete
You got
split
it.
of the rings.
Yeah, he wants to roll to the left. Separate those stones and not set up a double.
Same way.
Easy, 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 easy.
Close it at 10.
But
Whoa, no.
the Northern
Trap.
Ontario team, first shot of the end.
Got it, get it.
Hard.
Hard trap.
Second shot of the end.
Hard to hit it.
Hard traps. Okay.
Hits and rolls out, giving William the opportunity to do exactly what he talked about, get the ring split line 2.
Sorry, boys.
His decision is, do I hit or do I tap back? And I think he's going with the outside in hit, but he's not going to overthrow this.
Right there.
Richard will throw that nice takeout weight he just threw, about a 10.5. That's hog to hog, 10.5 seconds.
A little less. Straight. A little less. Hard, Jim. Hard, Jim. Right up your chest. Clean.
Nose hit, rings are split. The skips rocks now.
Lyburn lies 2.
Is there any advantage to like nose? Probably not, eh?
Good center maybe will overthrow or something.
Okay. So this spot will go for sure, right? 10? Good.
Nose gets shot too.
Dylan Johnson
Yeah.
will want to hit and roll towards the center of the rings as much as he can to bring the rocks back in play
10.
on the outside of the street in the 12 foot, so
Nose?
that possibly there might be an option.
Those two rocks
If we
on
nose
the,
were shot though,
on
right?
the top corner or the other
Then they
side of
nose
the
they
rings
are
are well positioned for Lyburn. Very difficult to
You got
really
it.
make a play on, even if you do get a roll into the center.
Yeah, without rolling out. That's why I think he's chose this one to hit and roll. He wants to stay in the rings for sure.
Easy.
10.
Easy, clean.
Clean.
Clean on me. Whoa. Cody. Cody.
All the way, Cody. Let's go.
Never stop.
Come on, buddy.
Okay.
Good. Good shot, Joe.
Well, it's an interesting nose hit, because now if Willie hits nose, I don't know if he, he has to actually hit a little inside to be shot, to make sure he's shot.
Exactly.
Less room for error here.
Yeah.
Can't afford to be on the outside of this rock, hit it on the outside and roll anywhere to the right.
I don't, but the ideal roll isn't a very big one, is it?
No.
It's 6 or 8 inches roll to fight the 8-foot and sit there.
No. If they exchange rocks from this point in, it's looking very promising for William to get his 2.
Control. Whoa. Good. Whoa.
Lyburn for the second in.
You gotta go all the way, Jared. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. Gotta go. Gotta go. Go, 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 go. Okay. All right.
It's an interesting situation now, Maureen, in that
That's good.
it appears as if Lyburn is lying first and third.
Well, bringing this in, they were trying to get it to curl a little bit more, and it just didn't. It rolled actually a little bit outside of the rings. It's tight. I really think it's blue as second stone.
Yes, the overhead shot showed us that rock just thrown by William Lyburn is within an inch or slightly more of the outside edge of the 12-foot and the blue stone. Probably 3 inches in, so not no question there. But it's still an interesting setup for Johnston to think about exactly what they should do.
They're really talking, where do we set this up to make it difficult for Lyburn to get his second point.
They want to again get that little inside roll, but probably leave it so that there's a chance of William doing again exactly what he just did.
For sure.
And the more they're into the 8-foot circle, the easier it is just to play the nose hit. Final shot for Dylan Johnston, Northern Ontario skip, in this second end.
Same way. Pairmore!
Yeah.
Oh, same!
Yeah.
Same!
Hard. Same way. Hard.
Whoa, 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 Cody! Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, no.
Got the hit and roll that he wanted. Rolled a little too far, though. It really does make it a much more routine shot for William.
For sure. And William doesn't take any time. He's heading down there.
I'd rather do that than
Leaving Richard to hold the broom where as soon as he needs it. That's when you know you've curled together a long time. Just carry on down there. Get in the hat.
Richard is saying to himself, don't underthrow it like he did the last one, or not the last one of the previous
Last end.
William's saying the same thing to himself.
Yeah. Well, I think in his first stone this end, he did up his weight a little bit.
That little more crisp.
Yeah.
In-turn hit for 2, an important second point for William Lyburn.
And he's got some room to roll here across the house, so I'm not too worried about this one.
Lyburn makes the hit. They're going to look at this other one just to be sure. Lyburn lies 1, scores 1, and the Johnston team kicks off the Yellowstone, conceding that William Lyburn has bounced back from giving up the 3 in the first end, a hit for 2, and just a little while ago, Blair Malestravich had the opportunity to talk with William Lyburn.
I'm here with Team Lyburn, Skip William Lyburn. William, what are you thinking about as we're going into this year?
This year's a big year for us. I mean, this was we worked really hard in the last couple of years to get ourselves into the pre-trials. And there's 2 spots up for grabs to ultimately get to the Olympic trials. That would just be, that'd be awesome to be able to do that.
Now, this first matchup against Team Johnston is with a younger team. What do you go into when you're thinking you're playing a younger team?
Yeah, I don't know much about these guys. These young guys that are all coming out, they're all well prepped. They've been coached. It's a different generation than when I was that age coming out. So I mean, I talked to a couple of other teams that have played against them already this weekend, you know, in the Crothers and McEwen's teams, and you know they said these guys are good, so we got to play well.
Now, when you're watching the warm up, what's going through your head while you're warming up?
Just be relaxed and to go out and play our game and not think too much about the next game, but we got to get through this one first. And I mean, for us, this is our 5th event of the season, and we've had a good season so far. We've qualified in every event, so I mean, we really want to keep that momentum going. And then we got a couple of weeks off before we head to PI.
All right. Well, thank you so much and best of luck. You're watching the 2017 Men's Classic.
Well, we're back to the third end of the Portage Curling Club, the game between William Lyburn and Manitoba, Dylan Johnston of Northern Ontario. Third end underway. Lyburn came back with a deuce on the second end, an important recovery from giving up a disappointing 3 on the first end, and the game is now on. Lyburn through center guard with his first rock of this end. Johnson went right behind it right away, and the rock you're watching now is Jim Coleman's second shot of the end, and he's put up another guard, maybe going to tap.
Wow.
That rock just took off on them, Resby. I don't know if it caught something or he just maybe got it going a little bit, but it definitely didn't react like the other stones that were down that same path.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a situation like that, when you hear a skip say, wow, just the way we heard William say that, that just kind of, in one word, says a whole bunch, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Caught him by surprise, whatever it was. Travis Showalter's second shot of the end, and another draw. This sets up to be a very interesting end, Marie.
For sure. Both teams are comfortable, I think, with the ice now. And you know, William wants to get, obviously wants to keep Dylan Johnston's team to 1. But also the way this is setting up, it could be looking at possibly a steal. So we'll just see how it all unfolds from here.
Reflecting back to that interview Blair did with William, he made the comment, we're 3 weeks out, the next 2 weeks we'll take it off, and so clearly, you know, as they went through their planning process, they were going to play this weekend knowing they weren't going to play from here out. It's a different world than not many years ago when guys would just play all the time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good strategy from William Lyburn's team. They've been in 5 events already, and it's week 11 of the World Curling Tour events. There's lots of curling out there, but I think they have chosen the path to play, you know, 5 consecutive and then take a 2-week break, practice, you know, work on some techniques, strategies, or whatever, and just be ready to go for the pre-trials.
Jared Colomaya with his first shot rolls things a little bit. He rolls a pair of rocks to center, but the Johnston team has 2 behind, and the angle is not bad, but it's not the perfect angle by any means, Marie.
No, I think William's okay with those 2 yellow rocks up front right now. He can do something with those, so I think Dylan Johnston's going to try and set something up here to take those away.
Yeah, pretty close.
I think
Second man, Cody Johnston, his first shot of the end.
Yeah, it's going. Line's okay.
we're almost half. Yeah, we're half. We're halfway right now. Sure half. Halfway tight. Not to the yellow.
Whoa.
Not to the yellow.
Whoa, line's good. Line's okay. You don't have to go. Yep. You're okay. Whoa.
Nice shot, Cody.
That's a great shot. He didn't bring it in too tight that it sets up a natural, so it's a little more difficult to do the run backs because of the separation of those rocks.
If they spill this all around, we should just run
This is the kind of shot that William recruited Jared Colomé to play. The big weight hit. He's got 3 rocks to move and possibly as many as 5 if the angles are right, but he wants to rip a couple of them out of there.
For sure. It's a nice weapon to have.
That just did not work out.
No, I think he, not sure of the angle, but I think he just hit it too, didn't hit it thin enough.
We're thinking maybe around.
You see on the, yeah, he just hit it too outside. He needed to curl a little bit more.
You mentioned that earlier, that quarter inch or even less to the center line.
It's like a golf shot, you know, you adjust your club a little bit on this end of it, and it makes that much difference of a, you know, a shot at the other end. And the same thing with curling, you know, you just hit a small piece of that, and because of the extent of, you know, real estate between the rocks, it has a huge impact on what's going to move where.
Cody Johnston's second shot of the end. He'll gain a draw. He'll go in this time, or at least behind that yellow flag.
That's picky.
Wow, that really took off. It picked or hit a hot spot or something on the ice. It just took off because they were sweeping it, Resby.
They were. Lyburn and Deneau consider the options, clearly liking the idea of running the yellow one right up the center line to see what happens. Or I guess in the league I play in, it's to see what happens. In the league they play in, they know what's going to happen. They just have to do it.
And turn.
Always like going into club curling around when the Scotties and the Briar are on, because every single player out on the club ice surface thinks they can make that triple back, you know, every shot in the book, and all the power to them.
And you know what? It doesn't matter how old they are, because they play in a couple of Masters leagues, and there's a guys a year or two older than me, and they're still affected in the very same way. I can make this shot.
Beauty of the game.
Deneau, straight run back on the yellow rock up the center line.
Oh, damn.
Just that.
Well, it cleared it off.
Cleared it off. Bad break to lose that biter on the corner, although that rock probably wasn't going to end up counting anyway. But
sometimes like to have those little corner biters in case you have to come in off.
Exactly.
And just leave a flipper of them open. Make sure you cross a bit. I want to show on the outside of that blue line.
So Mike Maduke comes to the hack to throw his first rock of this third end. We saw Mike make a couple of very fine big weight hits on the first end. We'll see his touch ability on this one.
Yeah, like even if we're discarding like half the rock on Travis's side, it's fine. Line is everything though.
Yep. We'll be quick here.
Well, I like his comment there, line is everything, and it is on this shot, because normally you don't want to be putting up guards if you've got the hammer and covering the forefoot, but you know, they want to protect these 2 points they have, and
halfway.
Got some
this
curling
guard
to do,
is really
halfway.
important. Semi-tight to the house, halfway over.
Halfway, halfway.
It's gonna be good. Line's gonna be good.
Just short of that, short of that.
Doesn't need to curl. Line's there.
Yep, go. Yep,
good sweep, guys.
A near perfect guard by Mike Maduke on the 2 Johnston stones.
God, are we freeze?
Forefoot, fighting
yeah,
forefoot.
I mean, that's danger though. I mean, that's the shot, but I think you got to play this again.
Make anything this way.
Well,
Like back line.
yeah, but I got to kill something. I mean, back line is not gonna. Like he's gonna be lying. I don't even know if I'm gonna be second shot. Like it does curl a lot this way, but I mean, like I'm telling Jared, we gotta move it to here. Yeah.
Yeah, we just sit open.
Well, I don't think you'll sit open, because I think you'll sit there. That's not bad. It's a great shot. That's tighter than you think, though.
It's tighter than you think, Maureen, because of the angles on the rocks. They're not side by side. The outside one is further out by a couple of feet.
Yeah, and I think William's referring to how much it curls in that particular spot.
It's hard to
it
get
makes
rid
it
of
that much
all
tighter.
three of them with
It's
the
a
run
little
back,
more
right?
touchy in that spot.
I don't know if I could.
You can get it here. It'll go.
Although we did see on 2 ends ago,
hard to make the shooter.
You know,
I think this is
Dylan
a shot.
Johnston drew down in there and it over curled behind that guard. So I think William likes the run back, and I kind of like it too. It's he can eliminate both of those rocks if he hits it properly and open up the front, and or even if he nuts the front with his rock, his rock staying there.
Exactly.
So,
out turn, right?
Yep.
right now he doesn't have a lot of options on the other run backs or promotion of rocks.
Richard Deneau, run back.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Curl. Curl. Roll it, Jimmy. Roll it, roll it.
Hits and rolls away.
Okay.
Well, I think Richard just surprised that this hung out on him that long and just never did come up to the face of that rock. So getting rolled away, he would have preferred to have the straight back, at least leave his rock somewhere that he can run it again if he needs to. Gives an opportunity now for them to put another guard on. Michael Baduke throwing his last rock here, putting
Slightly
a guard on
more.
again.
It felt like more.
But the challenge of making the second perfect guard in a row.
Halfway. Tight. Same path. Oh, in almost. Travis, get ready. Leave. In.
Just doesn't want to
Travis,
be
it's
really
your
tight to the house with this.
Really tight. You gotta bite the line.
Just past the lead. Just past the lead. Just past the lead.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Lines there, lines there. Lines there.
Good work. That's fine.
Yeah, good judge, guys.
Well, it actually sets up better because it's a tighter straight back. William can pretty much nose hit and get the triple, I would believe.
Yeah, it overcurled a little bit too as well. The guard on the perfect center line the angle wasn't near as good as what they said, and yet it's a pretty small difference in angle.
Yeah.
But this is a better angle.
Mm-hmm. Well, and less room between the rocks too, so you've got less room of error. This is Williams' specialty too.
Yeah.
I had a chat with Williams' younger daughter, Michaela. She's an avid curler, junior curler. She's here watching her dad. I said, "Are you taking all the notes and going to discuss it at the table when in the morning over breakfast?" And she said, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that."
Out turn hit.
Straight.
In this shot, I'm not sure who was yelling to sweep or not. It was over curling. Just missed the top 8-foot rock to get the double.
A little bit of bad luck on that one, to get that close. But he did over curl compared with what his objective was.
It's really hard for him to draw. He can't go this way. He can't do much with this.
I like the split.
The only out he might have is this, but that might be in the way.
Do we ever just put the guard back? And he might just bump off there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we put the guard back in, if he ever comes here.
Yeah, but like Dylan said, that's a precise shot. We're guaranteed one that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Right on the A.
I really like it.
And if he tries that and rolls off, then we get our 3.
So just bite in center, right?
Yeah. Cross it a bit like your first one.
410, eh?
Yeah. Man, I almost think we would just want to bite it. Make this freeze as tough as you can.
Well, the guard won't be in the way.
Well, what are you going to leave him by if you show him an inch of this rock?
Well, he might just try and bump it like a little there, like he was talking about before.
Well, then we drop it too.
Okay.
It's
we'll drop it.
critical you guard the outside, right?
Good discussion.
Bite center?
Yep.
Sliding really, really well.
I like the comment of what do you want to leave them? What do you want to leave your opposition? You know, that's always a discussion. If you leave them the same shot, if you skip the same shot, sometimes that's not a good thing. So, you know, leaving them a different shot, putting the pressure on your opposition that way to make a whole entire different shot to either cut them down or possibly try and get in there for shots. So.
And the logic of leaving William that very difficult draw freeze. As he says, if he makes it, we're still playing for one. And we've got one, and if he doesn't, we've got a chance for three.
Or even if this is tight to the house, they could actually have a chance for four. So they're leaving some options open there.
Halfway tight.
They're sitting well either way.
Line's good. Line's good. Sweep for half. Bite center line.
Halfway. Just to the leaf. Or to the leaf. Whoa.
Just bite center.
Yeah, come on, Cody. Oh.
Good shot.
That's a great shot.
Well judged, guys. Right on.
Good feet, Cody. Yeah, you too.
Yeah, that emulates the one that Mike Baduch made. The second one was not quite as good a guard. They got away with it, but this is the perfect guard. And William will try that very difficult draw freeze that get onto the corner of the shot stone, hold them to one.
Top four, eh?
And yet,
Top four.
You almost can't see how the Johnston team doesn't score two this end.
For sure. For sure one. If William comes down to corner freeze on that shot, definitely for one. He's just trying to count them out at this point.
20. What do you think, 20?
20's so real good.
William Lyburn, final stone of the third end.
I did a little more.
Very
It's really close.
A little up right now.
7.
7, 8.
Line's real good. Straight bounce. Straight if you can. Straight if you can. Straight.
You can bounce.
Full bounce. You gotta go straight. You gotta go hard.
We're bouncing big.
Hard. You gotta go.
Oh, just lost it on the front stone.
Get by, eh?
Yeah.
That discussion between the gotta go straight, gotta go. It's going to bounce, and leaves Johnston. They hit for three.
Yeah, they needed to be on that all the way. If you look at this, they're coming down. They're thinking it's a little heavy perhaps, but they had to get by that front, even if it is heavy, to tap that blue and wasn't going to be the end of the world. But they could not afford to get off of that top 8-foot stone. Dylan Johnston has a chance now to hit and stick for three, another 3-ender.
10 up.
Not 10. Just 10. Yeah.
Hard. Come on, Cody.
Hard.
Oh, buddy. Go.
Hard, boy.
Come on, Cody.
Push. Good shot, D.
Oh, boy. Good sweep, Cody. Yeah,
Well
boys.
executed.
Hit for three, the second 3-ender of the end. Dylan Johnston, the Northern Ontario, the young team from Northern Ontario, now takes a 6-2 lead over Lyburn and his Manitoba team. You're watching the 2017 Canadians Men's Classic from Portage-la Prairie. We'll be right back with the fourth end.
Destination Centers, proud to support our community with 10 destination centers in Manitoba.
Tune into Hot Wheels with a Z and go car racing.
This is my 57 GMC Carpenter school bus.
Think everything about cars and car culture in Manitoba. Get those RPMs up, take the roof down. Check out all the classic vehicles, learning everything about cars and car culture in Manitoba.
You're watching the 2017 Canadians Men's Classic. Join the conversation on social media, on Facebook and Twitter at Shaw TV Winnipeg with the hashtag #CurlingOnShaw. Now, back to you guys.
Well, the fourth end underway. The Johnston team has scored a pair of 3-enders. They lead William Lyburn by a score of 6-2. The beginning of rocks of the end again, just as you'd expect in this situation. Johnston draws to the forefoot. Lyburn throws a corner guard, and Lyburn really has to go for it now.
Yeah, they've got to get lots of rocks in play. They've got to start doing some tap backs, keeping rocks in play in front of its oppositions, in front of the tee line, everywhere they can. It's unfortunate, you know, that last end just never could get those two rocks to move out of the forefoot, and
not heavy, eh?
William had nothing left to draw, but to try and draw to that back forefoot rock, and just a bit of a sweeping error on that, getting it by, and left the 3.
And when you say sweeping error, Maureen, it's now much more than in years past. That's a team error now, isn't it? It's not the sweepers.
Yeah, no, and it was a calling error too. Like that's that communication piece where, okay, if we miss, how do we want to miss? And if we're heavy, you know, we need to sweep it to get by. We need the backing, that kind of thing. So there's that whole communication piece as you're coming in and being the sweeper as well as being the person holding the berm. You just have to know kind of
right on the tee line, right on the tee line, line's good.
And I think William was trying desperately to say it from, you know, his throwing position.
Got to curl.
Got to make it straight. Got to be straight. Got to be straight. And unfortunately, it just didn't react in time for it.
Jim Coleman's second stone of this fourth end.
Hard, Richie. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Draw to the button, front of the Johnston stone and on the back of the button.
Good job, guys.
Nice weight.
And with a 4-point lead, Johnston is less concerned about one rock in the forefoot than he is the potential for multi-points, so he gets rid of the guard.
For sure.
Your goal. Yeah, I got it. Right, they're not good? A little tight.
I keep looking over at the Calvert Morizumi game on sheet 4, and I'm not sure if they've marked up a score or if it's been blanks. It's still marked up as 1-0.
The second end was a blank, but we haven't yet seen what happened in the third end with two very close games over there. Completely different from the game we're watching, where with some rocks in play in front now, William Lyburn has asked Jared Colomea to play the out-turn draw, trying to put it into the tee line in the 8-foot circle.
Utilize that nose hit feel that Johnston left up front.
Good. Good shot. Thanks, guys. Good weight.
Great draw weight by Kamara.
Dylan Johnston looks at angles, wants to
nice weight, bud.
Make a decision between running the long guard and I think he's tempted to run it in and try to get an inside roll off the rock in the 8-foot circle.
There's a couple of options. He could run that corner guard into the pile.
Yeah.
Which I think he's electing to do.
I don't think it's gliding as much as Rich thinks. No.
Well, he got rid of the guard. He just didn't get enough of it to get the angle he wanted.
Well, William Lyburn will continue to put up the corner guard to protect this stone that has no backing.
the hair tight. 2. Okay, line's okay. Line's okay. Line's good. Yep, come on. Bring it deeper. Deeper, come on.
What do you want?
Okay, good, 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 good.
Good.
Colomeo replaces the guard.
Good shot, Jared. Now we...
Pretty hard to go over top.
I don't see what that gets us.
Run it back.
And then they're just going to go around again, right?
One more peel.
Yeah.
Right, you got it.
Got a peel.
Yeah.
Dylan was looking at the rock in the top 12 foot because it's his own stone, not that he's hitting, right?
Waste the rock and see what they do.
And interesting, he's changed the turn on this peel, which is a good
No,
good
I
note
shoot
for
2 and 4,
junior
so
curlers
4
coming up.
first.
Changing
That's fine, I guess.
the turn so that you protect
Good curl again.
not jamming on something in the house with that yellow stone, your opponent's yellow stone.
All right.
All right, you got it.
Half it off.
Mike Badou, his first shot of this fourth end.
Just clean.
Clean, clean. Oh, oh, oh.
And William Lyburn doesn't waste any time, puts his broom down and asks Richard to put up a corner guard again.
Yeah.
Should have closed.
It's tight. Just
then.
clean.
3. Whoa, 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 whoa.
3, 4.
Whoa, then, not in.
Clean, clean.
3, 4.
Yeah,
real tight.
Yeah, you still have to clean.
Real tight.
Yeah. Line's good.
Whoa,
Line's
whoa,
good.
whoa,
Needs to
whoa,
dig.
whoa.
It's coming down.
Needs to
Okay,
dig
off,
hard.
off.
Okay,
Okay, that's good.
all right. It's all right.
The difference of two different concerns, right? It's a little too heavy, but you still need to clean.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need it to catch something at that point. Just looking on sheet 3, Schuster is lying 4 yellow stones, 3 of them in the 4 foot, 1 in the 8.
3 rocks to come, 2 from the Korean team, the Kim team, and Schuster has 1 yet.
I think you'll see a big blast rock come down the ice.
That shows you the problem with that guard coming too deep. The
Just freeze.
Johnston
I
team
guess
plays
so.
the run back
Yeah.
and moves them both, rolls over.
Yeah, too tight. It just
All right.
Freeze it up.
set up the double. But it left stagger guards out front.
Jim's didn't really slide well here, I thought. But
No, I think we could probably throw that over 5.
that's what I was thinking. Remember that you threw 7 in your number, your second rock. Right?
Yeah, the 7. But my
Doesn't slide as well as that.
Doesn't slide as well, but
So 05, 10.
10, something there, yeah. We're real close.
line's good. Line's real good. 6, 7.
7.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
7, 8.
Jim.
7, 8. 8, 8, 8, 8.
I'm gonna
Jim.
set this rock right on top of this yellow stone.
Tapping it a foot.
Hard. 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 Good.
Full draw, tap.
Really came down there.
Yeah. Down. Good.
Thanks.
Nice weight control by Richard.
Was good draw weight,
Yeah,
good
I got
sweeping,
9,
and a situation now where the Johnston team is not going to remove both yellow stones with 1 shot.
I think he was just a little
narrower than where I was.
Yeah.
Because we waited on mine forever.
The top 4-foot Yellowstone, I think, will spin off the top of the button Yellowstone and roll out. And Dylan will just want to hit and roll to the side.
Dylan Johnston, his first stone of the 4th end, an out-turn hit. Trying to remove one of the Lyburn stones from the 4-foot circle.
And I think he wants to try and unlock that yellow and blue stone as well. Sure. Which he did successfully.
William Lyburn needs to draw. He needs to get partially buried, but he wants to be a little bit of a guard. He wants to be a little bit buried.
Yeah, we referred to this as the treeing them, like the evergreen tree. So he wants this to be kind of semi-tucked around that 12-foot blue stone that's there, but also covering a lot of his Yellowstone. So it kind of is a thinker for your opposition to know that they need to hit one or the other, and sometimes you can get away with it a little bit more.
William Lyburn's first stone of this 4th end.
It's real close.
Out-turn draw, wants to be top 8
A little
foot.
tight on line.
Can't be heavy.
7, 8.
If you're going to be heavy, you got to overcurl.
Bump.
Little bump.
Straight!
Straight. Whoa, whoa.
We're just 7.
Room. Straight. Okay, well,
Still
just
7.
do it.
Get to the inside.
Just do it.
Bounce it, bounce it, bounce it. Straight!
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
So that Lyburn draw is
That's ideal,
a
but
little too deep. He wanted to be into the
Yeah,
top
that's
edge
what
of
we're
the 8 foot
thinking,
is, and leaving Johnson the opportunity
Just
to
rip it. Yeah, okay.
play.
I'll give you the same ice elbow.
He does say he's just going to play the hit. He's basically conceding a pair. So the first end, Maureen, you said once you gave up 3, you want to score 2 back. You give up 3 this third end, you want to score 2 back. It's really not a good progress.
No, you need to get multiple, and you know, this is the halfway point of the game, the 8-end game. So this end's really critical to score. It's unfortunate they couldn't either have swept that rock sooner and got more separation between the rocks, staggered, in the way they ended up.
Dylan Johnson, out-turn hit.
Okay, that's fine.
We're playing the shot. Stone rolls away. There's William Lyburn, a draw 8 foot for 2.
Hair more ice. All mine have been curling more. Yeah.
Interesting note. William said all his have been curling more, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And he might just have some stones that are a little sharper.
Final stone of the 4th end. Match between William Lyburn and Dylan Johnston. Lyburn needs to be 8 foot.
That's all right. Different path, Dave. This is a different path.
And then still will trail 6-4.
Line's good. Wait on the line.
Super's just keeping it clean here. Keeping the brushes down.
7 on its own.
Can't hurt it.
Picking.
Hard.
Jeez. Picked and died.
His weight was good.
Still made it.
The heck of a
for
draw
2.
around there.
William Lyburn scores 2. The Manitoba team skipped by William Lyburn trails Dylan Johnston and his team from Northern Ontario by a score of 6-4 after 4 ends. Coming up, Blair Malostravich will have interviews with both of the skips. You're watching the 2017 Canadians Men's Classic from Portage La Prairie on Shaw TV and Shaw Direct.
I'm here with Dylan Johnston. Dylan, tell us exactly how that first half went.
It's a pretty strong first half for us. We've capitalized on some misses. We've also had a couple misses of our own, but been pretty fortunate so far.
Now, what have you noticed about the other team's gameplay?
Seems like their game plan's the same as ours. Put some rocks in play, bail when we have to. Just comes down to execution now.
And how do you feel your communication's going with the rest of your team?
We're communicating good, getting on top of the ice, letting each other know about that.
All right, thanks so much and best of luck. All right, William, what do you think about that last end? Describe that for me.
The last end, it was just a patient end from us. We put rocks in a couple of positions, and I was just hoping that they were going to maybe try and make a little bit of a rookie call, that we could, we got a chance to get 3 on them, but we had to make sure to keep the 2 in play. We're down 3. Our 2 threes we've given up. We're down 2. Not the position we want to be in, but we're just going to have to fight a little harder and see if we can get the line matched up with the rocks.
Now, what have you learned from these younger guys this first half?
They can position rocks from draws. They made a great run back and stuffed it in the first end. They can play. I think we can put some pressure on them. I think we can get a couple of misses from them. So that's what we're going to try and do.
Great. Thank you so much and best of luck.
Thanks.
Still more to come on the 2017 Canadians Men's Classic.
Hello, who's this? Oh, it's Chloe. Chloe has an idea she wants to share with the world. She picks up her camera, she shoots her video.
Hey, where do frogs keep their money? At the riverbank.
And finally she edits her masterpiece. Chloe then sends her video to Shore TV where it can be aired on community producers. It's just that easy. If you want to be like Chloe, email us at createtv@shore.ca. Community producers, every fortnight on Shore TV.
Canad's Destination Centers, proud to support our community with 10 destination centers in Manitoba.
Well, we're back at the Portage Curling Club sheet number 5 as William Lyburn takes on Dylan Johnston. And Lyburn has been caught by surprise, I would suggest, in the first half of the game. He's given up a pair of 3s. He scored a pair of 2s. Maureen, as William said during that interview with Blair, he's got to hope for a couple of misses, but in fact he's got to force a couple of misses. How does he do that?
Well, he's going to have to play quite aggressive, and like he said, he's going to have to, put a few more rocks in play and set him up and hope that there's some miscues on behalf of the Johnston team. It's a slippery game, so there's lots to play, and Williams, he's pretty pragmatic on what he needs to do, and he understands this game so well that, he's going to try and get something going. He made reference that maybe there would be a rookie call, and they would have a chance to get their 3 in the last end, but that didn't come to fruition. So I think he'll just continue to try and play a lot of stones and position them.
Nice throw. Good save, guys. Told you we would.
2 points is not a lot the way the game is played these days. A steal of 1 this end really changes the reflection of the game completely, as opposed to a score of 1 by the Johnston team.
For sure. I mean, there's two options you can go with: the steal or keep them to 1, right? And you've got basically 3 ends to play, so you're going to have to do the math on that and figure out what works for your team. This is a critical. I think this is a critical end to try and get that steal.
Over there.
Just stop it.
Don't want to bury it.
So Lyburn plays the long center guard with his first stone, maybe a little longer than he wanted, but he did. He now plays the close guard. Johnston immediately right into the top of the button, and I like the way this Northern Ontario team plays the game, Maureen.
Yeah, I do too. They're very confident in the way they throw, and their communication is really good so far.
Oh, yeah, really hard.
Considering that they've only had 2 events and they haven't really been all together at those 2 events, so I'm quite impressed by their communication, and you know, it could be too that trying to be on top of that when they're out here. That might be something that they're, you know, they said before the game, let's really make sure our communication is on and that we're talking and that sort of thing. That's the thing you have to do, especially early in the year, to get that sort of solidified for future games.
So with the second guard in play, halfway to the rings, just off center, the Johnston team is going right behind both of them.
Interesting, we're on this intern side again, which has been very productive for the Johnston team throughout the ends that they scored 1 and 3 and got their 3 points. So this is a comfort zone for them. I would have tried to push the other turn on this end, force them to go to the outside where maybe they haven't thrown it as much.
Bites top 12 behind the 2 guards. That Williams sees the opportunity to go back past that stone to the rock in the forefront.
It's a little bit on this side. It's a little slower, I think.
Well, Palameo's had really nice draw weight and guard weight throughout the last few ends.
5, 6.
If you can get this in there, just even anywhere in front of that top stone or the back stone, it's a good shot.
Straight. Oh, we're just freezing the top one here.
All right, top it a bit if we could.
Just freeze it.
That one took off right away, Maureen. You heard Williams comment that, and yet they kept on it, and given that it wasn't the result they wanted, it's not a bad result.
No, it's not a bad stone.
Do you like the double? Where's the jamming?
That could end up coming right to there.
Man, they can't run that.
What do you
top one?
Doesn't that help them? What? Doesn't peeling help them?
Well, if we could blank here.
Scoring 2 here is the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Peel the top one.
we're not set up that great. We'll take a look if you want.
I know how it's set up.
Just peel the top.
Okay. Okay.
Not totally convinced that Cody Johnston isn't totally convinced this is what he wants to do, but Dylan's very definite.
Might catch that.
Just wants to peel
That's
one.
kind of what I was thinking, yeah.
I think it's pretty early in the end to commit to what you've got in the house. So clearing it up would be an option at this point. Trying to clean up as much as you have there.
First stone of the 5th end for second man Cody Johnston.
Clean it. Clean it.
Curl.
That's fine.
Rips the top and rolls away. What do you do now if you're William, Maureen?
Either or. I just don't like this side. Like even
Well,
if you're
he's got to get another rock in there.
Like,
He has to
even if
have
we're almost freezing
either
this
second
one.
shot,
Yeah.
second or third shot, kind of a
Freeze,
setup
or
shot
if we end up
here.
going there for shot rock, right? Yeah. Button weight.
That weight was probably close. On this side.
This is the same path as William threw in the third end to come around to the out-turn side.
Keeping in mind here that William Lyburn's objective is to try to find a way to score a single point, to steal a single point, and so he's going to leave more in play than he might if he, or play it differently than if he was trying to score 2.
No, we're on the guard.
But this one's over curled just as the other one was.
Curled, yeah, just got away on them.
Oh.
Oof.
It was like top 12.
Yeah.
Just maybe a little light too, Resby?
I would say he probably was if he was trying to get to the tee line, which he really was. He was trying to get cornered on the shot stone or even tucked around behind it, and he only promoted that stone by what, 3 feet or so. So probably he was going to be at best maybe top 8 foot, full 12 foot.
This rock looks a little bit more tall.
Yeah, you give me a lot more ice.
Hit.
With his second stone, Cody Johnston will attempt to peel a pair of yellow rocks off the center line.
Be a little careful here. You don't want to just take the
Just over
top
top,
stone
no.
off on the high
Yep,
side
yep,
and,
yep, yep, yep.
and hit it onto the blue one in the house.
Well, the same shots here.
Richard and William now look again to see how they can take advantage of the opportunity that a lot of people wouldn't consider yet to be an opportunity.
Get one in
but
here, some even
he's
back
got
4 foot's pretty
he's
good.
got rocks in play, and if they can get around this full
Yeah,
outside the way William says they can, that suggests to me that they're, as you said, throwing a little light, but maybe just not getting the positive release that they want either.
Well, and the audience is likely wondering why William doesn't draw around on the in-turn here. There is that option to draw around there and go behind the tee line, but then that would set up another draw in for Dylan Johnston's team. So there's some options. I think William's trying to get a setup shot here going by going around the far out turn side.
First stone of the end for third man Richard Deneau.
Let's go early.
Straight.
Go.
Yep.
Oh, it's picking.
Oh, this picked.
Kidding. Come on, do it.
That's unfortunate for Richard, the Lyburn team.
Yep. What are we thinking?
Hit 3 over there, I think.
Does that 3 hurt us, or is the 4 hurting us more? Just question.
Well, the 4, he comes here.
Just my question,
When he was
that's all.
trying. We leave that, he comes here.
The 3, he can't really run onto that one in the 4 foot, that's all I'm thinking.
Well, it's just if he ever goes around it, then we're pretty hooped.
Around it, but then if that yellow guard's gone, we got that little run.
Sometimes the players' shoes are so wet
We
and
could peel
damp
this one too.
inside from playing all day that they don't get a chance to dry out, and then you've just got that heat and that moisture wicking,
Either one,
and it
that or
leaves
the
some
high one.
hot spots
I think they have to make a
dead
play on
spot
that
on the ice.
eventually.
on the ice. So it's
They
really
gotta make a
important
play on those ones eventually.
that you're always looking
I
for
think
those
the high
hot
one's
spots
the one
and
that's gonna hurt
wiping them
us.
off, scrubbing them off.
I think the high one's going to hurt us.
When you hear them talking about the 3, it's the Yellowstone on the center line. The 4 is the Yellowstone just off center, and as they've concluded, the high one, the number 4 stone, is the one that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, they just want to get rid of that one. Nothing fancy. Don't make it any more complicated than it has to be.
Whoa.
Clean. Good.
There's a fly in here that wants to watch our game as we're commentating here too. I guess that comes with the beautiful weather that we're having today and this week.
Here, he's got to try here, right?
Yep.
So our only way of dealing
So Mike Baduk removes that high guard, the one they talked about as the one that was the greater concern.
Like the draw,
That was not on, eh? No.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, we double that, he's either...
Probably playing the double back. And this is it, it's force.
If he could ever make a good one here, then he's got to make this. If he misses it, I mean, he might even take his 2 blues out. You don't know. 'Cause, I mean, it's kind of a chance to steal. To make the double and stick, yeah.
No, you can't make a double and stay.
No,
I think
You can go down and just make a double.
Yeah.
I think we go
blanks and
it's blank. I mean, that's...
I don't think that's good right now.
Back button.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even back 4 is fine.
Yeah.
Well, a little risk and reward here by William Lyburn. They could double off the front, Resby, but then it's opening it up to be a flanked end by Johnston. So William's looking at a chance to put one around the front yellow stone, possibly back button, and maybe play a little cat and mouse with Johnston team. They come down, and then you have a chance to either free something on or...
At this stage, he's trying to force that miss that he talked about in the interview.
Exactly.
He's going to need a miss at some point. He's decided this is the time he's, at least one of the times, he's going to try to force it. Richard Deneau's second rock of the end, the intern draw from the outside.
This clean all the way
Line's
down.
real good. Easy, then. 8-9. Off of her 8. Oh. Real close. No. Straight. Hey.
This is where it really snaps, Resby.
Everything's picking it up.
It's so fudgy.
That's good though, Richie.
Really jumped on him, but that may have actually turned out to their advantage in that it also slowed it down. It was appeared to be going a little bit deep.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
During that earlier conversation, you heard William say at one point, you know, maybe we get the force, and that's not the bad result either. Force a single.
Yep.
Yeah, shoot.
A 90 on that.
Add a 90.
Mike Baduke,
It's like 96 or something.
second stone of this fifth end. Out turn, hit up the center line. Trying to remove those two rocks off the center line. I think the gentle slap on the ice by Mike would indicate that he would agree with me that that worked out to Williams' advantage.
Absolutely.
Throw it out there somewhere.
Just overthrow.
You just got to chuck it out.
Just jammed on the back
My
yellow.
rock was curling wall.
Jared, Jared, try to stay down to clean, or one of you guys clean.
I agree, Richard. Keep it clean.
What are you thinking? Like,
Probably have to throw a good 10. Rich threw 90 on that.
but it looked like it was sailing pretty good, and then it came down.
I think it's because
It grabbed.
I don't know if it's
Like he was back. He was back. From how I envisioned it, he was back 8 foot. Okay, let's throw 10 then.
Yeah, I think.
Let's throw 10.
Yeah.
Lyburn throws that same intern hit or draw that Richard Deneau played.
It should be close. We're there right now.
They need to not let it warp the way that one did and try to get it in behind.
That's pretty heavy. No, it's like back 8. It's back 8 unless it digs.
That's 13.5 of the hog line, so it might be a little heavy.
Curl! Yeah, I'd 301.
Well, it never did get to the curl, and the curl will take some of the weight off Resby, so his weight wasn't overly like out of the zone. It just didn't get into that, you know, curling spot past the hog line where it's going to take the weight down. See, it's just hanging out here all the way. They're kind of getting off of it, and as it slides to the back.
Yeah, compared with Richard's draw, Richard's final draw of the end, a little bit heavier, but it, as you say, Maureen, it didn't hit that spot where Richard's
But if we toss one over
jumped
here,
in or warped
what does
in.
he do? We toss one up here. He could run it into there. We toss one up here.
So there's a pair of Dylan Johnston stones yet to come in this
We still
end,
got
one
4 foot.
William Lyburn stone.
For your 2.
Well, set up nicely for the force. It depends on what Dylan decides to play here.
Just try and draw, walk it there yourself. Okay.
The danger
Yeah, I
of
don't
coming
mind it.
around on the intern is if he's a little bit heavy, he actually brings the steel back into play
He's
for
going to run
Lyburn.
that in.
Yeah, I think if we're there, he's running.
Then we almost have full 4 foot still.
Well, yeah, but
Dylan is still clearly trying to figure out how he's going to score a couple, but it's,
I guess he's going around. But
there's some interesting challenges to make that happen.
I mean, if you hit all you can see, it's pretty good, but we're losing that back blue one for sure.
No, if you hit all you can see it, you're definitely not. Like
that back blue line, I think is for sure going out.
You could almost nose the blue.
It's partly buried, right?
Like a millimeter.
And you have to almost cross it to not get that back blue one out.
People are likely wondering why there's so much discussion, but there's no time clocks on these teams here, so they're not worried about their time running out.
So how definite are you if you say, I think it's going out for sure?
And even if you run it into
I think that's a 50-50.
There's only 2 rocks in the rings, right?
I mean, it's there. It's just really...
He's going to have to draw, but...
Firm?
Okay.
Just off nose?
You threw one here 2 ends ago, I think. And it sort of curled a little. Okay.
What kind of weight?
Firm?
What's the pro side miss here? The top one?
Firm, eh?
Yeah.
So the pro side's the top one, I guess, right? Straight peel the top one?
Yep.
Okay, you got it.
You got it, bud.
Yeah.
Dylan Johnston, first stone of the 5th end. Out turn hit.
Hard, you got it. Hard, stay on. Keep going. Hard.
Trying to run his own stone in on the yellow stone. Perfect shot.
It's a nice stone by Dylan. He threw this really nice, firm weight.
You can go metal if you like.
Just sneaks by the top one. And makes a clean hit.
I ain't got hair left, Rich.
All right, 10.
10?
I think 10's perfect, yeah.
So Maureen, you said his first draw was 13.5 hog to hog. He needs to be a little longer than that.
At least 14.5 for sweeping. A little bit quicker than it was in the practice.
I'm good.
Wait's real close.
Okay.
The line looks better on this one too, Resby.
Curl. Jared.
But they can't leave it too late because it'll catch the curl.
Gotta go.
Go hard. Come on, go. All the way, go, guys, go.
Hard.
Come on. Get in here. Go.
Draws by 4 foot. Johnson lies a single point.
Yeah.
So they're sweeping this to get 4 foot, and you know it's this point where if the weight is even close, you got to go hard because that curl will take the weight off.
80. What do we need?
It just comes up.
You got to be half in.
Half 4?
Yep.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Last stone of the end for Dylan Johnston, and it's a pretty precise shot, Maureen. He's got room on the corner of the 4 foot circle, but he has to be not full in the 4 foot, but certainly half of his stone has to be in the 4 foot.
And they're going out a little bit wider than what Lyburn was taking for these draws. They went past the 12 foot, almost halfway between the board and the 12 foot.
Yeah. We're heavy. Not curling yet. Back 8. Off then. Still
coming down.
No, it's not.
We're back 8.
This is sliding pretty good.
1.
Good.
Oh, it's not very good.
So William Lyburn and his Manitoba team get the force that they would have been their second objective in this end. They might have preferred to steal, but a force of 1, and Johnston and his team lead by a score of 7-4 at the conclusion of the 5th end.
Yeah, let's make 8 good.
We'll be right back with coverage of the 6th end of the Manitoba, or the Canadians Classic from the Portage Curling Club.
Yeah, I was yes.
was hoping it would just start grabbing it. Wait, where's the sign? What are we gonna do with that? We're gonna have to score a deuce. Well, it's 4 here, then we're gonna shoot it.
Okay, bro.
Tavern United, a new world sports pub. With a wide selection of sporting events televised at our 8 locations in Manitoba. Tavern United, your destination for great sports all the time.
We're back on sheet number 5 at the Portage Curling Club. The Canadians Classic underway, and William Lyburn and his team have broken the pattern. They would have talked during the mid-game break, Maureen, that we got to do something to break this pattern of 3s and 2s, and well, that's you know, pretty easy to make that comment. It's how do you do it, and they were able to get the force thanks to the miss that they got with the last stone that William talked about during that mid-game interview.
For sure, and he put the pressure on Dylan Johnston's team and Dylan himself to make that precise draw to the forefoot to try and get his 2 points. And unfortunately, he was a little bit heavy, but you know, kudos to Lyburn team. They played that as well as they could have to force the point.
Curling there still, boys.
So the 6th end begins again the way you'd expect it to. A Johnston draw to the forefoot to the button, and a Lyburn guard, followed now by the 2nd stone of the end by the Johnston team, and a draw again to the forefoot.
Good. I got the weight down now. Just back line. Okay.
2 rocks in the forefoot. William decides he wants to play a little bit of a bump, move the one that's on the button back into probably into the back 8-foot circle and roll in behind his own guard as well.
Well, the beauty of this is he gets some movement on those rocks and tries to start building a bit of a wall behind there for his own use later on.
Curl. It's good. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hard on the blue. Get it back here. Whoa, whoa. There, that's good. Okay, good jump.
Works out okay. He didn't get the curl that he wanted. He didn't get the roll that he wanted, but he's moved one of those rocks back into the back of the ring.
Go for a third of the rock. This is 1.
On sheet 3, Resby, Kim, and Schuster are tied up, 2-2. They've had lots of rocks in play.
That's really fortunate.
Bit of a bad break for the Johnston team on our sheet. They
that's on their
roll
solid.
that rock in front of the
I know. The only thing I'm worried
button
about
stone.
going here. He's
Well, that's always the danger, doing that outside in peel
they're both staying.
and jamming it on a rock in the house. This is maybe the miss that Willie Lyburn was looking for.
Coming in this way.
Well, I know, but I mean, you got to hit it exactly perfect.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Where else would you go, Richie? Because if you go there, he's just going to nose that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
To that, I mean, we could throw a guard on it, but
I think we got to do this corner guard.
it's... Throw a second guard on it. Is it crazy? Give me a 30.
This is always the issue when you're skipping, whether you do this early enough in the game or you wait a little bit longer to do these taps. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game here as well.
don't know. Do you want to go?
Yeah, you gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay.
Bill.
What do we have to hit?
Half rock.
This is your
This
three.
is 3.
Dylan wanting to hit this very hard and roll across to unlock his blue and
Change the configuration in the forfeit circle. This is Cody Johnston's stone.
Yep. Yeah. Hard.
His second stone of the end.
Hard. Hard. Roll it, Travis. Roll it, Travis. Hard. Good.
well, we got a bonus. You got that back 12-foot rock out of there.
I still don't think we do anything with it though.
You have a corner guard this side?
Yeah.
You ever throw the guard on that side?
I like that.
Side,
Still Jared, yeah.
He can't run it in.
Yeah. Saying we could throw the guard on
the
same side.
Oh, no, because then he can run it in and get them all. You put the guard on this side, he runs it in, they go nowhere.
Oh, I don't know how to get them all on that side though.
We're on the left side?
Well, yeah. Like,
Well, he runs it right into our yellow, and both yellows go.
No, yellow should go down on that shot rock, or the one on definitely the first one.
I like the high guard on the left, Resby.
Yeah, the logic being that if it's on the right-hand side of center line,
don't mind
it does have that possibility of running it through and bouncing the yellow out off the back blue one.
Alrighty.
But if it's on the left-hand side of center, that same angle doesn't exist.
It's still the same one. 30.
And the other option here too is putting the guard up there leaves the option for Dylan Johnston to actually do the work of unlocking those rocks for William.
Switch.
Jared Philomeus, guard.
Good. Nice, Jared. Good throw, buddy.
May have overcurled a little more than he wanted.
If we ever nose that worst shot, so it's not bad.
Okay, you got it.
Just
Mike Paduk ripping the guard.
So William and Richard have talked about this and looking at putting Richard's rock right on top of the yellow stone.
I'd wondered about that for the previous call, but that was just, in their minds at least, one too soon.
Yeah.
But just as with the guards we talked about, Maureen, I don't think he wants to be on the center line side of this. He wants to be on the nose or on the outside.
For sure.
Wait, guys. You gotta go, Jim. You gotta go. Gotta go. 7. Gotta go. 6, 7. Gotta go, line. Gotta go. Hard, Jared. Hard. Hard. Whoa. Great. Good sweep, man.
Oh, good.
Good job.
Nice stone by Richard Deneau.
Good throw, Richie.
Is the 1 gonna touch the 3 or no?
Yep.
So I might be able to get like everything out of there. The 5 should go easy though, right?
Hit pretty. Done as you can, but make sure you get it.
Like
half or left.
Edge or rock or what?
Just hit half or left.
Think right on it, eh?
All right, bud, you got it. 1 will go.
Yeah, that top one's gonna go easy.
Okay, Maggie.
The Johnston team will be satisfied to remove one of these. Getting rid of both of them is not it's just not automatic by any means.
No, and I think they just want to get the everything unlocked so that they can have an option for a better hit.
Mike Leduc throws the out-turn hit. We've seen him throw this hit, this weight, all game long. He likes to throw it.
He needs to hit this on the outside of the top yellow. And he did.
He's gonna have a double, a natural double here, right?
Well, yeah, I guess we just corner freeze here then.
And as you can see, he throws this up and really straight
or guard
down on that high side. And only gets the two.
Actually, probably guards a shot.
The rings.
Guard's probably a better shot, yeah.
Still a good shot.
Yep.
Just a 3.
They looked at trying to draw to the corner of the blue stone in the 4-foot circle too, but the double possibility, unless that shot was made absolutely perfectly, they've elected to play the guard. Richard Deneau's second stone of this 6th end. Lyburn trails 7-4 to Dylan Johnston.
Picking.
Oh, good flank, whole thing to go.
Not Jim, not Jim. Okay, whoa, whoa, let it die, let it die, let it die.
It's over curling here.
Hey, Rich.
Get off there, let it go. It just, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think right on the nose is good, isn't it? You sit sort of beside it?
Yep.
Or would you rather roll buried?
Roll buried's pretty good, I think.
Okay.
But nose is fine.
Even this is fine, Phil.
Yep. Yeah.
A1 would be to sit right there.
Yep. Right there.
10?
Kind of wait.
10?
That's my first thought.
Okay.
You?
I like it.
Edge of the 4?
Yep.
Tell me from down there too.
Travis, get the path up there.
Great discussion, Resby. Talked about weight, talked about where he wants to leave the stone after he contacts the yellow stone.
The Lyburn stone is partially buried.
How's that?
It's not a great guard, but it's partially buried, which means then that the weight has to be that lighter weight to allow it to bend in once it passes the guard.
Yeah. The guard is quite high, so he has room to come around there.
10.
Easy. Clean.
10. Soft 10.
Yep.
Hard, Cody. Yeah, come on.
Hard.
Just 10.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Drop,
Drop. All the way to it. All the way to it. All the way to it. All the way to it.
Roll it, roll it, roll it. No.
Hits and rolls right out of the rings.
That's fine.
Okay, Bill.
Good scrub.
It's pretty hard to stick there.
Yeah, that spot seems to be a little bit straighter, but we didn't want to get cute.
Lyburn ignores the blue stone in the back corner of the 4-foot circle and try to draw fully buried behind that center line guard.
They still want to throw that 10.
Okay. Paramore.
I like it.
I like the weight.
Close.
I like the weight. A little heavy, maybe.
Little up right now.
Curl, Jim.
Got room. Lots of room.
We got lots of weight still.
Okay, can you get it back here? Just
Curl.
Just Jim.
Curl.
Hard, Jim. Okay.
Whoa.
Just hanging out on them.
Okay.
Just heavy.
It's that 03.
Just not that sweeping weight, eh? To get it to the curling spot of the hog line in, and
We're in pretty good shape.
We're shot, right?
Well, it was just
Yeah, we
mostly
could
been
draw,
that
but
little bit heavy rather than that little
it's
bit
the
light.
same shot we just played.
The game, but this is
11.
I don't mind the same shot. Like blank's fine.
Well, yeah, force is great, right?
11.
Just a couple of inch more ice. Like you were here, you want to be about
I
here.
think you can see a hair less, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna take a little weight off. Yeah, I think just here, Dill.
Just an update on sheet
They can hold
4,
it if they
Calvert
need to.
versus Marazumi. It's 3-2. After 4 ends, they're in the, well, they haven't marked up the 5th end, but they're playing the 6th, but we're not sure exactly what that score is, but it's been a really tight game and lots of rocks in play on that sheet.
Got it.
I keep peeking over there, Resby, and there's always these angle shots that are happening and lots of rocks in play.
The Schuster-King game is also 3-2, and that after 6. Completely different styles of games than these ones, than this one that we've been watching. Dylan Johnston with his last stone of the end. Just play past the guard, tap that Lyburn stone out of the rings.
Yeah. Come on. Good. Clean.
Good.
Beauty.
So the Johnston team has effectively forced William Lyburn to take a single point. Lyburn's got to draw to the forfeit circle.
All right, I'll try and give you the 10.
Okay.
Mine's good. It should be close. Should be close, Jared. That go.
Mine's real good.
Can't hurt it. Hard!
Come on, guys. You gotta get T-line.
Gotta go. Gotta go.
Well, that's a disappointment for the Lyburn team. They come up short of the full 12-foot, but short of the needed draw to the forfeit circle, giving up a steal of 1, and the Johnston team goes ahead 8-4 after the 6th end. We'll be right back with more coverage of the 7th ed from the Portage Curling Club at the 2017 Canadians Classic.
Tavern United, a new world sports pub. With a wide selection of sporting events televised at our 8 locations in Manitoba. Tavern United, your destination for great sports all the time.
Catch the action on Shaw TV for both the men's and women's finals in the 10th annual DeKalb Superspiel from the Morris Curling Club. This important World Curling Tour event will feature excellent competition with teams from across Canada and around the world. The DeKalb Superspiel Finals, Monday, November 20th at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., exclusively on Shaw TV. We're back on sheet number 5 of the Portage Curling Club for the Canadians Classic on Shaw TV and Shaw Direct. We have now the situation where William Lyburn, having given up a steal of 1, trails 8-4. Maureen, it now has to be an all-out assault.
Oh, for sure. Go hard or go home.
Johnston throws the first rock in the forefoot. Lyburn plays the long guard, and then Johnston throws that second rock through the rings. That second rock has been in the rings the entire game, but 2 is one too many at this stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Straight.
Jim Coleman's second draw of the 7th end.
We haven't seen William put up the 2
we're
corner
by.
guards has
No, we've
always only had the
And you gotta
one
keep
guard.
going. Okay, just clean, just clean. Good brush, Jared. Good brush. It's picking almost. All right. Great brush.
Good sweep. Throw.
Good stone by Jim Coleman. He
At the
did
broom.
as he was asked to do. That's
All you can ask.
that's all you can ask. And now Cody Johnston, the Johnston team will just hit out as long as they can. And, remove a guard. If he gets a bonus, he might be able to kill them both and still roll away. But he'd be happiest or happy simply to get rid of it and roll away.
Good.
Good run.
Terrible slide.
Was it? Yeah. It's usually when I get my best shots.
I don't say most of the day.
The Lyburn team works at replacing the guard that was just removed.
Yep, Jim. Yep. Okay, good.
Good stone by Jared Colomea.
Bit more ice.
Well, Johnston
Same
team will
throw,
just
man.
be happy to keep things clean.
Clean. Oh.
I'm just clean. No pressure on it.
Drop. You're good.
Nice
The
shot.
Calvert Marizumi game is up on the board, 6th end. It's 4-2, and they're playing the 7th end for Marizumi.
Oh, positive.
Shade more.
Lyburn continues to play the guard on that side of the
Pretty
rings.
good for. Just has to curl a little bit. I think it's sliding good.
Yeah, you just do it a little stronger.
Okay, good, Jared.
Good. That's still bud.
Pretty straight.
Okay.
Mike Baduke, first stone of the 7th end. Johnston team leads Lyburn 8-4.
Clean. Clean. Good.
So what did it actually do? What did it actually do?
I don't know.
I tell you.
Throw the guard.
For one more, I think.
Yeah, I think one more guard here with Richard's first stone.
Straight. One. Get it over. Over and stop. Okay. Whoa.
Just a little nervousness about whether that was going to make it. Good sweeping.
Great sweeping for that front end.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, now we go around.
And just far enough out that Dylan Johnson wasn't sure whether he was going to play past it or take the guard off.
Yep.
Clean. Yep.
He'll rip it off.
Hard, boys.
And then
Hard grab.
Hard roll.
Yeah, go.
All the way out. All
Lyburn
the way
will
out.
go behind the blue stone in the top of the 8-foot. That's a question, Maureen, not a statement.
Yes. He's using everything he has right now as a guard.
Said yeah,
doesn't want to set up a double, so he's got to make sure that that is at back 4 foot.
If you're yelling hard, I'm gonna go way harder than yeah.
I feel Williams' pain here. I don't think he wants to play on this outside, and he's not really happy with how it's been reacting this whole game.
We're thinking, well, whatever you like. I like this turn better, but okay. I just don't like going that side. Yeah. Same weight or what?
Pritchard did only his second stone of the 7th end. Attempting to draw behind the Johnston stone that sits in the front of the 8-foot circle.
Just for weight, just for weight.
Gotta go for back 8.
Okay. Back 8. Go. Curl, just Jim. Just Jim. Jim. Come on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jim, hard. Hard.
Just Jim.
Come on, hard, hard, hard.
Hard, keep going.
Okay.
All right, discussion.
Had the weight he wanted, didn't get quite the berry that he wanted.
Nice stone by Richard.
Who shot? Are they shot?
Yeah.
Whoever hit shot rock?
But it's always open. We're rolling out. Maybe. We don't want to get cute with that.
Their first reaction was to hit that outside rock.
I'm just thinking, what if they
yellow is
Christmas tree
shot.
that? What do? We run it?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be.
They'll be up here.
So they're probably getting 2 because it's probably gonna jam. It's a perfect Christmas tree.
They're getting 2 no matter what, unless we make the double.
Okay.
Right?
2 is fine.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly, 2 is fine.
Yeah, if we need to try it. I mean, I guess no point in not trying it, right? Make sure the 1 though.
Yep. The 3rd?
It's gonna run like straight down the sheet, right?
And there's a comment that fits with something you said early in the game, Maureen. Make sure of 1. Make sure you hit that rock.
I like it.
Quarter rock?
A third of a rock will get the double for them.
Yeah, even a big roll.
But some days you just feel like things are going the way you want them to, and I'd say this is one of those days for the Dylan Johnston team. So the double wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Come on. Well, yeah. Little roll.
But the nose hit wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, I think that surprised him that it curled up that much.
More than he
Just throwing
expected.
the runner anyways and just picking this out. Like, I don't know if it's
Well, yeah, but
anywhere here. Like this is almost wide open.
right. So you go here and he picks the 1 and you draw for 2. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, I think if you go there and he plays the run, he gets them both. Possibly.
Yeah, exactly.
This way you're getting 2 for sure.
Yeah. This isn't. I guess it doesn't matter. You might stick it there.
This is just so open, right?
It is. It's wide open.
We want to try and entice him doing something here, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, somewhere out there. I expected yours to finish more, but
Yeah, we hit it pretty early.
can I throw 5 here?
What's that?
0-5?
Yeah, you can throw a 5 here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lyburn will throw the out-turn draw. He is pretty much settled for the fact that he's going to score 2 more. Marine are hoping for something to happen that allows him to somehow get a 3, but really 2 is really what he's working on at this stage.
For sure.
Pretty good.
Should be all there. Should have
Wait
called
for
7
7.
call.
7, 8, 7.
Straight!
7. 7 at best.
Need to keep this rock straight, is what Willie's referring to. Willie's referring to straight. Keep it.
Whoa. Go.
Good shot.
A good shot by William.
Nice, Willie. Good toss.
Yeah. How hard though?
Feel.
Hit.
It's the back of the button.
Yep.
William getting a little bit of excited here. Just doesn't want to rack on that blue one, so just keeping the rock straight down the path he wants and just tuck it around that 8-foot blue stone. Nicely done.
And Johnston would pick that yellow out of the back, allow William the opportunity to draw for the 2.
Real hard! Come on. Okay. Good speed.
Or maybe he'll play the double kill.
Oh, when you're on. So I guess. Good.
Wow. That's a great shot.
That's the day you know that things are going very, very well.
For sure. This looked tight all the way. I was thinking it was going to just come up on that top blue one, but it just gets by and doubles. Thin double.
And the chips are down, eh?
Yeah, pretty hard.
There's just enough of an angle on these
Like
2 blue
heavy
rocks,
3/4.
Maureen, that a double is possible. William's got to jump his rock pretty much straight sideways, but there's a bit of an angle, so.
Yeah, it's all he has really to try and
all he has.
Get his juice.
Great! Curl! Curl!
The hit, he got the roll, he just...
Oh, everybody was 6 too. Wasn't even there.
It's an excellent shot, but just for a single point, the
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
gloves come off
Yeah,
with
good
a
luck.
single point for the Lyburn
Good luck.
team, and the Dylan Johnston team
Good
wins
luck.
the game by a score of 8-5.
Good luck.
Game, good luck.
We'll be back here with a post-game show at the 2017 Canadians Classic on Shaw TV and Shaw Direct.
Destination Centers, proud to support our community with 10 destination centers in Manitoba.
And we a bit abruptly, Maureen,
Yeah.
in that that last double kill. It wasn't quite a double kill.
I think that was a little bit unexpected. They were just hoping to peel one of them out there, and William could draw for his 2. But getting the thin double was a bonus for the Johnston team for sure.
The game right from the start, though, the William Lyburn team was chasing the entire day just because of that 3 kind of happened accidentally on the opening end.
Yeah, it was a surprise 3, but they had a chance to get their 2. They got their 2, came back, and then giving up another 3 points on the 3rd and just kept them behind the 8 ball the rest of the game.
So Lyburn loses 8-5 to Dylan Johnston, and Blair Malistravich is down at base level with Skip Dylan Johnston.
I'm here with Dylan Johnston. Now let's talk about, congratulations, great game. Let's talk about how that game went for you.
It went pretty much to our game plan. We got a couple misses by them. We also had a couple misses, but we kept on our game plan and bounced back from them.
Now, how does that make you feel as you head into tonight's game?
That was probably one of our better games this week so far. So it's bringing the confidence up for our next game.
Now, when you're talking about how does it keep the energy levels high when you're playing? Like, were you really challenged by this game, or do you think it's going to be more challenging next game?
Wasn't a real challenging game because we had quite a few misses by the other team, but it was just a case of being on top of our game, still taking advantage of those and capitalizing.
Now, what are you going to focus on for this next game?
We'll go back to the hotel room and make another game plan. We haven't played this team ever, so we'll just stick to our game plan.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Now, that does it for us here at Portage la Prairie. We'll be back again at 6 p.m. for the next match. Thanks, man.